Hey everybody, it's Brisket here with Role Playing Public Radio. I almost said Ross playing Public Radio. That would have been very embarrassing. We're back for another episode of Drow and Dracoliches. I believe this is episode 5. Very excited to see the plot rolling in unique and interesting ways. I have a Word document full of horrible things that are going to happen in the world while our players have fun adventures.
Yes.
So I'm very
Nice to
excited
see
for their
it.
lives to become horribly complicated. Of course, my name is Brisket. I am God's special princess, most interesting girl in the world, RPPR's most innovative GM, and industry-leading author, award-winning game designer. This is Role Playing Public Radio. I have my 3 players with me. Could you all please go ahead and introduce yourselves and your characters?
Yes.
For people who are just joining us or may not remember.
All right. So I'm Faye. Don't look for me. I am playing Rushk. She is, well, her high concept is a snake-blooded extremist doctor. She is very involved with the field ward and traditional medicine in a world where you can wish away most of the things that could possibly ail you. Because of this, she is often regarded as a joke, but she's very involved in organizing and trying to improve the lives of the less fortunate in Waterdeep. And I will pass it off to Rachel.
Hello, my name is Rachel. I am playing Daelia in Valsa. She is false drow spy in the sense that she is an albino elf who is pretending to be a Zarkai, which usually are the sneaky spy drow, because they look normal-ish. Essentially, she's just dealing with being stuck in the middle of a whole lot of things going down right now and trying to keep them all straight to questionable success while also dealing with her very hot but very troublesome patron.
Trying to keep it straight. You've already failed.
Hi, I am Winter, or also Lydia, depending on who you talk to and how I'm feeling that day. I'm playing Xastra Telarr, Drow Paladin of Eilistraee. She's all about saving Drow from themselves. You can tell I am feeling very normal today because I am listening to Dwarf Fortress mode, Dwarf Fortress music extended 10 hours.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So it's been a little while since we played. In real life, it's been about 2 weeks. So can I have somebody go ahead and recount the events of last time's adventure?
So we woke up Laryl Silverhand at 3 a.m. We brought some cats back to Waterdeep.
This is you.
I think we talked to a femboy.
That is a lot, yeah.
To give a little bit more of an in-depth, get a little bit more of an in-depth explanation of what happened. We wrapped things up after talking to a fucking dragon lich who was being trained by what was his fucking name? It was
Nakasar?
Nakasar, who was schooling the Dracolich in creating her own afterlife, I believe. Once we wrapped up talking to her, we went outside to find Donovan, the hapless disciple of the now dead god, getting surrounded by just a bunch of small guys that he thought were goblins. Turns out they were not goblins. They were, in fact, upright Sphinx cats who were just kind of concerned that he was there and also wanted to ask us about basically getting refuge, because the mythal that was keeping the dragon sealed, they were, like, what's the word? Incidentally protected by it, and now that it's gone, they're completely fucked because wildlife and adventurers and bandits, etc., can come into their territory. Long story short, we got them back to Waterdeep and set them up with a fucking trade license to sell lotions and potions.
And makeup.
Yes, and the highlight of the last session is that Daelia got sucked dry by her
Patron.
What do you patron? Thank you.
And also got to yell at another drow who was
Yes.
trying to pull some shit.
Got to yell. Oh, right. And Xastra was a little fucking tattletale about everything that happened at the fucking cave after I said not to spill the beans about there being a Dracolich. Ah.
Well, I liked my version of the story we're telling better.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm
It
sure
doesn't-
you did.
It won't have
Somebody has to be a
consequences.
paladin. Someone has to be a paladin, I guess.
Good aligned deities are fine with It's going to be okay, probably.
I'm sure nothing bad will happen from it.
Just had to go
We'll
and
be
tattle
fine.
to Mommy Eilistraee.
I literally have to.
Ugh. Goody two shoes.
Oh my god, it's so good. So after all of that, they agreed to go on an expedition to Darileft, where our femboy hails from, in order to survey the damage, hopefully stop the seawater from spilling in and drowning everyone who lives there, and otherwise make it safe for habilitation again. To that end, we are also bringing a couple of people with us because we might need some kind of magical or divine intervention. I believe we were bringing Shiria Wallshade, the Moon Elf Priestess of Saloon, because she's a very powerful priestess of Saloon. She will definitely be able to help us out. We had talked about mages, but I don't think we had settled on one, did we?
I don't believe
I don't think so.
The only
I think we were going to go talk. I think we were going to go talk to Laryl Silverhand about it.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
I know that we are sending Lady Jelanvelos to go restore a version of the mythal that was protecting the upright Sphinx cats,
yes.
so that they can continue to live in the cave under a temple to a forgotten dead god, which is always fun. If you remember, Lady Jelanvelos, aka the Worm of Many Spells, was very smitten with our kittens, and agreed to help us do whatever we wanted. So where do we pick up? What's the scene? We have our cleric whenever we want to go get her, but we need to go get a mage. So do we want to do anything beforehand, or do we want to just move right to that scene?
I only really had like clerical things I wanted to do beforehand because since we are planning on leaving for what is likely going to be an extended period of time, Rushk would want to inform Lammy and her family, since they're like kind of employed by Rushk, or like Rushk rather works with them to do various things. Since Lammy's her assistant, she'd want to make sure that Lammy could at least help people who will need to pick up medication while she's gone. But I don't really know if that deserves a scene or anything.
Probably doesn't need a scene. I think you probably just like give the list of the next couple weeks to Lammy and be like, people are going to come by at this time. They're going to need these medications.
Yeah.
These people charge them. These people don't charge them.
Yes. Exactly.
So that's very
I'm
simple.
giving-
Also, the rest of the Fairweather family, Lammy's father and older sister, of course, we gave the contract backed by the Temple of Eilistraee. They are in charge of ferrying goods to and from the Upright Sphinx Cat place.
Yes. They're gainfully employed now instead of having to be like porters, basically door dashers for the people in Waterdeep.
So we might see their living improve over the next few.
I hope.
Or we might not. We'll see. Anybody else have anything clerical they want to do before we go have a...
I would like to drop by and let the Meeks know that there is now a caravan ready. And also, our Drow fanboy.
So the Meeks, I think you probably show up with like as the liaison from the Temple of Eilistraee. I think you probably show up with all of the things they need and be like, here's your official paperwork.
Yeah.
When your caravanners get here, you can give this to them, and it means they'll all be set up for business. I'm sure Lady Jelanvelos is there fawning over the Meeks and Mop because they are just so cute she can't stand it.
This makes perfect sense.
And Daelia, is there any scenes you want to have or anything you want to take care of before we...
Not that I can immediately think of.
Okay. If it comes up in retrospect, you can always spend a fate point to say, actually, I did in fact do this, if it becomes meaningful later. So, Are we going to Laeral Silverhand at 4 a.m. again, or are we showing up at regular business hours?
I was about to say, all right, so it's 3 a.m.
Oh my god.
No,
You're
we
going to
can
get
go
us kicked off the
during
goddamn
business
council.
hours.
Earlier in the morning is probably fine if you show up at like 7 or 8 because you're taking a journey and all that. But yeah, you can come in at normal business hours. The place is busier than normal. Before it was just sometimes there'll be a handful of representatives of lords there. You don't usually show up on days where they have the big sections of the lords voting on things. So like the large audience chamber is usually empty. But now there's a ton of people wandering around. There are important people. There are important people's attendants. There are attendants to the attendants. It seems like much more of the Special Council of Waterdeep has arrived, and they are making themselves as obnoxious as possible. There's lots of conversations being done in whispered voices in alcoves. There are a bunch of the wait staff running around getting drinks and snacks for people. There are a ton of messengers just bringing an enormous amount of scrolls and books, ferrying them to people who are getting mail or who want to check some sort of official business. It is extremely obnoxious. You end up having to wait about an hour before you could just normally walk right up to Laeral Silverhand's door. It sucks to be kept waiting. You're basically in a big hallway. You're like an intersection of a hallway. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice castle, and the weather's nice, and there's a nice breeze, but like you are just surrounded by people with money, and it is a little bit itchy, a little bit scratchy.
Well, hold on. Is this can we even get Laeral away from this? This seems like they're gonna be fucking swamped.
You're gonna be able to go in there, but Laeral will probably be a little distracted. So you're gonna need to do something to make her think, oh yes, this is important. I send a mage with you in the middle of everything else going on. You are entrusted with discharging the will of the council. So you do have some sway when you get in there. The problem is the will of the council part. You have to convince them that whatever you're going to do is the thing that they want you to do.
Yeah, of course.
It's fine.
So is it just Xastra there?
No, Xastra's there, you're there, Daily's there. I assumed you all wanted to go.
Okay, yeah.
You could have brought one of the Darileft emissaries if you wanted. I don't know if you did. You could also have brought Shiria with you.
Let's go ahead and bring both Shiria and Nyara and the guards. Just because, one, I don't really think that having a guard is going to do anything for convincing them, but I don't think the guards are willing to send just Nyara or just Yara and a guard. So I feel like they kind of travel as a group. And Shiria's
safety in numbers.
So you're all sitting around. It's very uncomfortable. The protectors of Darileft are all standing at attention. They look much like people in the middle of an enemy territory would look, very ready to be ready for anything, kind of thing. Shiria looks a little sleepy, but otherwise very happy to be here. She's got that very bubbly, very soft personality. So nothing phases her, but also she's a little bit not present. She's a little bit fuzzy on all of the details.
Is Shiria an elf?
Yeah, Shiria is a moon elf.
Right.
She's a very pale elf.
So she's like if an elf was a stoner.
Maybe not exactly. She looks very sleepy. So she's probably up all the time doing stuff. And then she just has one of those let bygones be bygones sort of personality. So she probably forgets appointments fairly often. She's the kind of person who you'd show up for your appointment. She'd be like, oh, why are you here? Oh, it's nice to see you, kind of thing.
Too real.
Oh, God.
This makes sense.
But she's so affable that it's hard to be mad at her,
That's funny.
So after about an hour of this, you're allowed to file into the Lord's Chambers, where Laeral Silverhand receives guests and important visitors and that kind of thing. And there is the large central table set up in the middle that has the map of the Sword Coast on it. It is way more active than it was before. There's a bunch of little miniatures set up. There's a bunch of little flags poked into things. There's documents spread out over the table. There are people leaning over the table arguing about the placement of things and their meanings. And surrounded by a number of important people, and then twice that number of their aides, is Laeral Silverhand, pinching the bridge of her nose and looking at documents that she would probably rather not have to deal with. It is.
Had we seen any sort of commotion outside of wherever we're at? Were there any people running around or somebody?
Oh yeah, people coming in, people coming out. Lots of people were waiting in line behind you.
Oh, I just mean a town crier or something. If I don't know, some sort of military thing has gone down.
No. It's just this is fairly normal for the Special Council of Waterdeep. I say normal because it has only happened one other time. This is about how you remember it, because most of you were involved with it directly. I know Xastra would have been up here at one point in time. So this is not surprising to you. This is what you expected it to be, but it is still obnoxious that all you wanted to do here is hey, can you lend us a mage before we go? And you have to deal with all of this. Yeah. So Laeral doesn't even acknowledge you because she has people swarming around her, asking her all kinds of things. You also see a bunch of familiar faces, some that you wish you wouldn't see. One of the people arguing over the maps is Neverember, the Lord Protector Neverwinter. He is obnoxiously centered. People give him a lot of room, either because they don't like him or because they respect him. And he just kind of takes up a bunch of space. Taryn Hornblade stands near him, arms folded, making a grimace expression, shaking his head at literally everything Daggold says. Remy is perched on the opposite side of the table, hounding Daggold on everything he's saying. Onthar Froom is there. He's clutching some kind of goblet in one of his hands and seems to be taking liberal drinks from it. He's more or less helping the atmosphere of the place, but the atmosphere is humid and swarming with people. It is very uncomfortable. It's very warm in there. There shouldn't be that many people in there. And you see a bunch of people you don't recognize. There's an elf there, or maybe a half-elf. They look like they would rather be anywhere other than inside of a city. Yeah.
Is Romalia mage? I can't remember.
Okay. Romalia can use some magic, but she's not really a mage.
All right. I'll leave this then. Rushk will put a hand on Xastra's shoulder and be like, "This is your court, Xastra. I think anything that you ask of Laeral is more likely to be granted than if either of us were to ask it. No offense, Daelia."
I'm taken.
Yes, of course. So, who all is around her, or is it just kind of everyone?
Everyone. She's mostly dealing with attendance. The bigger personalities are arguing around the table. There is, however, an older-looking gentleman in a it's not like full armor. It's more like dress armor or status armor. It covers his important parts, but it's not like a full suit of plate. He has a purple cloak hanging off of one shoulder, and he walks with a limp. He's clutching a very interesting-looking cane, and currently he's the only one speaking to Laeral meaningfully. Everybody else is just having her sign documents or thrusting papers in her face. And he is having some kind of conversation with her that she's trying hard to listen to, but,
Do I recognize this person?
Yeah, you would recognize this person. This is Sir Istival. He's a paladin of Lathander and a veteran dragon slayer. His cane is actually made out of dragon bone. It is made from the dragon that caused him to have a permanent limp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry, I have immediately forgotten. What did you say his name was?
Sir Istival. He is the representative of Morwen Daggerford, because Morwen does not leave Daggerford.
Okay. So, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
You first.
So, I would like to kind of get generally close to them and then say, Sir Istival, I haven't seen you in a while.
He kind of turns a little bit slowly to regard you. You know, he is getting quite old. He has a warm smile with a very soft one, and he says, Xastra, what has it been? Almost 10 years now. That's a very long time.
Since the incident with all the dragons.
Yes, quite, he says, and, you know, wiggles his cane a little bit.
Yeah. Conveniently, you're someone I'd rather need to talk to. We are headed, well, underneath Daggerford.
Underneath Daggerford. I know of many things assaulting Daggerford of late, but I can't say that I know what lays beneath Daggerford. What are you talking about?
Well, there is a cavern recently returned to Faerun that is currently flooding with seawater from the corpse of a god.
Yes.
So we will be dealing with that, and then likely stopping in Daggerford afterwards.
Well, if you need to go out to the corpse, I've heard there's a boat service that they've started in Daggerford. But as far as getting underneath Daggerford, I mean, you're welcome to avail the city's merchants of supplies you might need. I know Daggerford isn't very large, but I'll send you with a letter that'll at least smooth your way. You know, to pay you back for your services during the dragon incident.
She smiles. Well, actually, I was going to ask if you needed any help while we were over there. Over. Mispronouncing words.
Okay. And he's like, well, there's quite a few things over happening in Daggerford, but I think they will be under control. I'm merely informing Layrol of the goings on. But if anything is out of the ordinary when you're there, I would appreciate it if you could send a messenger to me or go speak with Morwen herself. I'm sure the Duchess would appreciate your assistance.
Of course. Once you're done, I also have business with Laryl Silverhand.
I think it's best if you push your way in. I don't think the Flows paper is going to stop anytime soon.
No. All right. I will just push my way through the crowd then.
All right. You wave a couple aides aside, and of course, you know, being a rather imposing drow, they just sort of do what you say. And then you're standing in front of Layrol, who is chewing on her lip and looking at large reams of paper.
Lair, you look quite busy today.
What?
And then I would like
Xastra,
to spend fate point.
Yeah?
To declare something.
What would you like to declare?
I have bought an animated frog figurine at the market before we came here.
Okay. I see we're using our esoteric knowledge.
Yes.
All right.
So, I will say, I have a gift for you, and pass her a small box which contains the bejeweled animated frog.
So I'm sure she looks at you incredulously, and then when you motion to it again, she opens the box, and there's a little platform that pops up.
Yep.
It's a little animated frog that does a very quaint little dance in time to some music. And she makes a complicated expression that is pleased and also bewildered. And she says, all right, Xastra, I will accept your bribe. And she thrusts the stack of paper into the arms of someone near her and says, you have 15 minutes of my time. What can I do for you?
Incredible. I hopefully won't need all of it. I am in dire need of a powerful mage to help stop the flooding in the cavern of Darileft, and then to investigate the corpse.
Powerful mage. I do know a powerful mage. And she turns to her side and says, is this something you'd be interested in? And you look around and you don't see anyone, and then you check her sight line, and there is a very short woman standing next to her who is holding, now that you have noticed her, a obsidian colored staff that is easily twice her size, and the only way to pick her out of the crowd of people around her. She brings her a little closer and is like, I would like to introduce you to the current Blackstaff. If there is any magical issue that you have, I'm sure that Vajra will be able to take care of it for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Vajra nods at you. She is dressed in, like pretty nice clothes, but they're not really the same as everybody else here. Lots of people are in official things and very nice looking clothes. She looks like she's ready to go do things. She probably does not enjoy having an official office.
So Xastra will turn to Vajra and say, a pleasure to make your acquaintance, and bow quite deeply.
She nods very politely to you, and she says, please, you don't need to stand on politic. I prefer to keep cordial relations. Everyone is just a friend that you're waiting to meet.
Cute.
Fantastic. In that case, she will hold out a hand to shake.
She shakes your hand rather enthusiastically, obviously holding on to the staff of the other one.
So, you heard what I need. Are you interested?
I am quite interested. A city that has come back out of nowhere after 100 or so years is extremely interesting and also potentially extremely problematic. So this is something that I am interested in seeing with my own eyes. I would be more than happy to accompany you.
Fantastic. I would love to have you along. We plan to leave from the Temple of Eilistraee first thing in the morning.
From the Temple of Eilistraee? Okay. Yeah, so she'd be like, of course, I will be there. I'll make some preparations. And do you know if there's anything specific I will need? I've never tried to hold back a sea before.
I'm not well versed in matters of arcane magic, but I really don't know.
Well, this will be an interesting experience for all of us then.
Certainly hope so. Xastra will smile very warmly and then excuse herself from this nightmare of a room.
Okay. So you collect your friends, you squeeze out of the room. Tyria is looking at a tapestry. What do we want to do?
So the only other piece of business that I can think of that we have to do while we are in town is check in with Val.
Yeah, we've got to take the thing to Val.
Oh, yes.
What was the thing you wanted to take to Val?
The brooch thing from...
The icon you got from Ayavrasa.
Yes.
Okay. You can go see Val whenever. It doesn't matter what time of day you go down there. Do you take the femboy with you, or are you just going on your own?
I think probably taking Yara would be a good idea, because we are acting in Val's, on Val's behalf, and we're vouching for Nyara, so, probably should at least introduce the two, I think.
Okay. So you'll bring, and you probably bring just one of Nyara's guards. The other three are going to head out into the city and get things that they need for the supplies, because you'll be traveling down to Daggerford, and then there is a way into the Underdark from there. It'll skip a bunch of Underdark travel, but you do have an overland journey and then an underground one. So
Oof.
It'll be obnoxious, but
It'll be
okay.
fine. I'm sure there will be no problems.
Nyara is very excited to see literally anything. Anywhere you go past is new and novel to him. So he likes to look at things, and when you're in the more mercantile part of the city, he does stop at a couple windows to look at things. And his high protector, Taltree Duskren, gently shepherds him along the cobblestones after you. From which entrance do you enter the Fat Tail? Do you go in from the field ward or from the temple ward?
I think on principle, Rushk enters through the field ward.
The city guard, when you go through the troll wall and into the field ward, are kind of bristly. They do not know what to think of your party, because you're a strange collection of elves, and also the doctor they don't like. But also it is a bunch of drow, so they know better than to keep their mouths shut. It is the field ward, so it is quite, the streets are basically just made out of mud.
Yep.
When it's really hot, they become made out of dust.
Yep.
So there are parts where, when there's like particularly deep sucking puddles, you see Taltree scoop Nyara and lift him over them. She's very chivalrous. So you get to the entrance to the fat tail on the fieldward side. The enormous half-orc bodyguard is there. She's seen you before, so she just nods. She is unsure of what she should do when Nyara enters, because very obviously it is somebody important, but she doesn't know if she's supposed to bow or not. But also it's the field ward, so like who cares? So she just kind of, babbles a little bit as you walk by.
I'll nod. I'll just give a curt bow to her and continue on towards Val. I assume that, like, we kind of have a standing appointment with Val, right? Do we need to let anybody know we're coming in?
No, you don't need to let anybody know. And in fact, Val is waiting for you, as though she knew you would be here.
Weird.
She's chilling behind the bar. She's messing with some of the glasses. She looks like she's poured several different kinds of alcohols and is testing them, taste testing them. She switches around them a little bit, and then she's supposed to spit it out, and you notice that she doesn't.
That seems right.
But otherwise, she smiles and she sees all of you, and he's like, right on time. You're never late to appointments. That's what I appreciate about you.
About which of us? That is that?
One of you. All of you? Some of you.
Well, since you were clearly expecting us, need I explain why we're here?
Of course not. Do you want to talk out here, or you'd like to step into my office?
I believe that privacy would be in, well, some of our best interest.
Certainly. Let me take you back to my office.
She just keeps it. Yeah, she just keeps about to be saying lair.
Yep.
So she brings you through the little back hallways. The kitchen is off one door, and there's a little loading pad off the other. And she brings you into her office, which again is just a large collection of stuff piled everywhere, and a desk haphazardly jammed into the middle of it that is large enough for her to sit at, as she is a very tall, very broad-shouldered, definitely elf woman.
Definitely an elf.
Her,
we definitely have not been told otherwise by multiple people.
Yeah. Her office lair seems like an organizational nightmare.
She knows exactly where it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, she has her organization.
All right. So I think just right to the chase, puts the fucking emblem on the desk.
Oh, we're right to this. Okay, other Rushks draw the proceeding out a little bit more. But this is fine.
I'm sorry, other Rushks?
That doesn't matter. What can I help you with exactly? I assume you spoke to Ayavras?
We did, yes. I am bringing this emblem to you, as well as word from her, on what it is she's trying to accomplish. And I suppose, in essence, she's asking for both your belief and your backing.
Oh, well, she can have both of them for sure. I have always believed in her plans. Naturally.
Rushk stops and tilts her head. It was my understanding that Ayavrasa was not common knowledge until...
not this Ayavrasa, sure.
I feel like we are having two different conversations.
I'm so sorry. Give me a moment. And she closes her eyes like she's really thinking hard. And then when she opens them, she seems a little more lucid than she usually is. Much more attentive. And she says, my apologies, Rushk.
Does this perhaps have something to do with what Ayavrasa told us to ask you about? I believe it was Dracoliches, she called it.
So she's gone from bribes to threats. I see. That's very cute.
Rushk raises both hands. I was unaware that I carried a threat. It was my understanding that it was simply an encouragement to seek information.
Don't worry, Rushk. If you were to tell people, it would be more of an inconvenience than anything else. It just seems Rasa is very serious about going through with her plan. So, of course, I'd be more than happy to play ball, as it were. You have no idea what the expression play ball means.
I assume that means you are willing to both negotiate and explain what it is that Dracoliches is, as well as what can be done about the emblem. Or rather, about Rasa's goal.
Of course, I'd be more than happy to help. As far as the Dracoliches goes, did she do the thing where she draws the circles and tells you about the bowls?
What? Did she? Out of character? I don't remember.
She did draw circles and told you to imagine cups.
Yes, she did draw circles and tell us about the bowls.
All right. So there are many Rasa that are unaware of each other. Because there are many worlds very similar to this one, or very similar to this one. The thing they share in common is the cosmic sea, if you will, that they all float in. So, most Rasas have been unsuccessful, which is very unfortunate. And I know this because I am present on a great number of these worlds, or at least a version of me. When we refer to Dracoliches, it's not really seeing, it's more, imagine, if you will, that you were in 7 places at once, but all 7 of you exist inside your head and are talking to each other. That's more like what Dracoliches is.
I have a vague understanding of this, however, perhaps not quite the understanding you'd want. I've heard of similar cases in medical illness, documented illnesses. That
is a new one. You are so clever, Rushk. I have not heard that out of you yet. I will write that down for later. So in many of these similar worlds, similar plots happen. And so this allows me a certain degree of foresight, if you will, control over things. And imagine that you were betting on a game, right? When you bet on the game, you know the odds of something, of whether or not you're likely to win, correct? And the way you generate those odds is knowing all of the different possibilities and the possibilities that are most likely to happen. So when it comes to all of your little adventures, imagine that I have already seen worlds that are a little bit before and a little bit ahead of this one on similar tracks, right? I would know probabilities of things that are more likely to happen than others. This is the kind of thing that Rasa, I'm sure, has come to me to ask.
Are you... That is... This is quite the claim. If that were the case, then what you're saying is not only has this happened, but in many cases this was always going to happen. Are you saying that life is, to a degree, deterministic?
Oh, absolutely not. That's why I say there are many worlds similar to this one. There are no worlds that are exactly the same in this one. Obviously, you or someone like you does not exist in all of them. But in, worlds that are similar enough, any version of you doesn't make the same choices as you. Like every stimuli, every situation, every question that you come across, you are free to respond to in your own way.
I see.
So, deterministic? No. Likely? Yes.
I see. In that case, do you have any advice you can give us? I'm getting ahead of myself. Val, this is Nyara, a refugee from, I'm sure you know, Darileft.
Nyara, I've been waiting so long to meet. And Val comes over at a speed that makes his guard pull a dagger. Val just kind of waves it to the side and scoops Nyara up in a very, not exactly undignified, but not something you would do to a visiting dignitary. Nyara seems okay with it. She kind of swings him around and then sets him back down and pets his head. And she's like, yes, you've got Nyara already. So things are moving then. That's very exciting.
Well, yes. Exciting for you, I'm sure. Nail-biting for us, as we are currently tasked with stopping the sea. Do you have any... Are you allowed to provide suggestions, advice, any sort of words of encouragement that might be a little apt, overly apt?
I can do whatever I want as long as no one stops me.
I see. Then could you provide us the solution for... Provide us with the solution for...
Yes. As I understand it, the salt solidifying in the sea is currently a bit of a boon, but ultimately that's something you'll want to deal with, of course. So that won't hold forever. You will need some way to seal the cavern floor altogether. So I would recommend, and she goes into her extremely disorganized pile of stuff, but with like the precision of a woodpecker going after a grub inside of a tree. She just snatches out some rolled up pieces of paper. I have some notes here on some very strong earth-related magic and some very strong fire-related magic. It'll have its own concerns, but I believe that you can weld the seafloor back together. It'll take a great deal of work, but I'm sure you can find someone able to assist you.
I see. Magical concerns are a bit beyond me. However, I appreciate this. I believe that we are having Vajra, the current Blackstaff, accompany us. Hopefully that goes well.
Vajra's quite powerful, but you will definitely need assistance from Nyara's sister.
Right.
I turned to Nyara. You have a sister?
Of course I have a sister. She's the queen of Darileft.
Isn't she the one that's, like, literally holding everything together right now? Or she's, like, one of the mages that is?
She is a very powerful figure in Darileft, and you have been told very little about her, which is a little worrying.
Is
Probably
she
fine.
then waiting for us, waiting for you to return?
Nyara looks like he's going to say something, and Taltree puts her hand right on his shoulder.
Great, okay. Yep, gonna be making note of that. Perhaps a conversation for another time. One last question, Val. How far ahead exactly can you see?
Well, almost all the way to the end, but at that distance, it's more of a guess than anything else.
I see. Maybe it's best that I don't spoil it.
I mean, are you asking for you, or are you asking for him?
Doesn't answer.
I see. Well, I guess you and I can both keep our secrets.
I turn to Xastra and Daelia. Aside from... Well, I guess we've confirmed your support of Ayavrasa then. I believe that's all I was asked to do. Are the two of you, do you have any questions or any vanity you want to indulge like I did, asking about matters of the future?
None that I can think of. I certainly have no interest in knowing what is going to happen to me. Knowing the ending of a story is significantly less fun when you're still in the midst of it.
You see, I'm the type that always skips to the end. I can't help it.
I am sure I have things that I want to ask, but I cannot think of any of them right now. So Xastra will take the scrolls and otherwise remain quiet.
Okay. So you've got some scrolls that are like basically treaties on magic. You pop them open, they have very arcane diagrams that you're sure a wizard will understand, but don't really make a whole lot of sense to you. They're also half mechanical diagrams, so those ones at least you can understand. It has to do with conjuration of the seafloor and then basically superheating it to weld it back into place using the seawater coming in to rapidly cool it back down.
Sick.
Trying to make a combination seafloor obsidian patch, which more or less will work.
So should we give those to Shiria and Vajra as required reading during the trip?
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, I don't have any other... As far as questions for Val or preparations beforehand, I don't think I really have anything that needs to be addressed on screen. That's just preparation of the clinic and letting Lammy know, and then probably...
Val has a question for you.
Me?
Yes, for use the group. She wants to know, have you eaten the crystal yet?
No.
Not yet.
No.
Did you let Nyara eat it?
Not...
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Did you let Nyara eat it?
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
Did not realize that was an option.
That's a choice you'll have to make later. As far as assisting Ayavrasa, have any of you agreed to be her cleric yet?
Kind of?
Somewhat.
Kind of.
Looks
So she's granting you spells?
No.
Interesting. All right, I see.
I think most of
Good
us
to
were a
know.
little bit too wishy-washy on whether or not we were going to agree for patrons at this time.
Well, that's dreadful. As the heroes of this story, shouldn't you be a little more proactive?
In
Well-
concept, yes, maybe. But also knowing what's going to happen as a result of taking on an undead dracolich goddess. Having some background knowledge is probably good.
For my part, I assured Ayavrasa that I would spread word of her. I have not received any spells, nor do I want to. However, I do intend on championing, may not be the right word, her cause.
That's very charitable of you.
I think it is only the right thing to do.
So you don't see her as a tyrant then? Because I know your feelings on those.
Rushk gives a very practiced smile.
All right. Well, the next time you see Grashadaga, I hope that you'll be very kind to her. Otherwise, if you no longer need my assistance, I hope that you have a very fruitful and safe journey. Wait, am I allowed to say fruitful? Is that a spoiler? Don't worry about it.
Rushk is like grinding her teeth at just how much Val seems to know.
Oh my god. It's fine. It'll be fine.
It's fine. She only
We're just gonna find a fruit grove. It's okay. That's all it is.
Yes, fine.
Definitely.
Okay. So we collect everyone.
Nyara, the guards, Vajra.
I have one thing though before we go to
Absolutely.
off
Hit me
really
with
fast. Daelia will sort of take the princess aside, obviously within earshot of of the guards, and just be like, I know that we're planning on leaving the city tomorrow, but I was just wondering if there's anything in particular you might be interested in doing before you left that you haven't had the chance to partake in. Since who knows, the next time you'll be in a city like Waterdeep. Ideally, you'll have the option to go wherever you please, but, just in case.
You're going for the VN date scene.
Nyara is very excited because there are a great many things that he would like to do while he's in Waterdeep. One of the things he would like to do is there is a very expensive patissiere. He would love it if somebody would go with him to go get some sweets because he feels weird going by himself. And he can't exactly ask his bodyguards to, march on down to the pancake factory.
Oh my god. Cute. Well, I'm happy to go to accompany you. I don't know if any of my companions are also interested, but that sounds like a nice time. And honestly, if there's anything your guards also want to partake in before we leave, the offer is also open to them.
That will be unnecessary.
All right.
Haltree is not exactly the talkative type. You're pretty sure those are the only words she said to you.
This makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you want to have your little cafe date scene, or do you want to move on?
Or no, we can move on.
No, if you want to have your little cafe date scene, I'm totally here for this.
Does anyone else come? Does anyone else go?
Not unless invited.
Yeah,
You can have Nyara all to yourself.
No. The invite is open. It is less of a date, or less of, at least my intention was not a date.
Yeah, I know. I was just joking. All right. Yeah. Rushk will go then. She'll get something.
I, alas, have other preparations I need to make.
More important than pancakes.
Damn.
So it's just 4 of you then. So it'll be Nyara, Taltree, because, Nyara needs a bodyguard, or Nanny, you're not really sure, Daelia, and Rushk. It's a nice little shop. It's actually a little bit down the street from where the Meeks and Mop are setting up. So you walk by there, and they are busy with sorting the insides of the place. You see the Fairweather family. They are moving shelves around. The Meeks and Mop cannot seem to agree on where they go. So they've been moved back and forth over the same about 6 inches of space, probably 30 times.
Well,
Everybody
hopefully they're
waves
getting
to
paid.
you. Yeah, of course they are. They have the investment money from the temple, from the Temple of Eilistraee. Plus, as far as needy customers go, this is easily not the worst that they've run into. So they all wave at you through the big shop windows. And then you head into the little sweet shop. It's kind of a cute little affair. Lots of small tables set up so that you can enjoy being with your friends. There is open air dining. You can be out on a little patio if you would like. It is the cleaner part of the city, so it's not like you're going to be sitting in gross outside. I'm sure this is sort of around the evening, early evening, so it's very nice cool breeze coming off the ocean. It's very pleasant. They offer a bunch of sweets of different kinds, mostly small cakes and that kind of thing. Nyara desperately wants to try pancakes, and so they bring him a stack of it that is as tall as he is, metaphorically speaking, and he attacks them with enthusiasm, and Taltree is there to cut them into bite-sized chunks for him.
God, fucking mom.
Really good.
Unless Taltree ever has a moment by herself, then I don't think I want to do anything here.
Okay. You can talk to Nyara about whatever you want. He's just asking you all kinds of things about what it's like to be in the city, and then what it's like to live in Menzoberranzan as well, because he has interest in both places. So he asks about, people you know in Menzoberranzan, people you know up here, places you like to go.
Dahlia's just trying to sidestep a little bit in terms of talking about people in her past, but
makes sense. He's like, yeah, I haven't had a chance, obviously, to go anywhere. I've been in Darileft for forever, and even Darileft isn't even Darileft anymore, or never was, or it is now. It's kind of hard to explain. But I think that if we can get the sea floor thing fixed, and we can find my sister, my sister,
I'm sure we'll be able to
pancakes
figure
are
it
really
out.
good.
They are very good pancakes. And I think Daelia will also probably try and get a little bit more background on just how the city had run, any sort of I don't know. I mean, we'd already talked about this stuff, but just a better idea of any sort of political squabbling things that might end up coming up.
Ask about the sister, since she's the queen.
That's true. But what's your relationship with your sister like, if you don't mind me?
She is. I mean, I want to be just like her when I grow up. She's so kind and caring, and she knows all about Darileft and how everything works there, and she's just so strong that everybody does what she says, even after the whole political schism thing, people still listen to her, even the men, and that's, that's big, at least until she went, I mean, when she...
Missing?
No. Maybe a little bit.
I'm going to be honest, since we are going to, I mean, if we don't want to talk about this here, we don't have to, but since we are going to be going into a rather chaotic situation once we get to Darileft, I think if you could be a little bit more open with all of us about if there's any sort of hidden things that are afoot here.
She's not missing. I think people know where she is, but they don't. And he looks over at Taltree. They don't tell me where she is.
Oh,
interesting.
Yeah. This entire time, I've been watching Taltree very closely. What? Is she like poker face about this, or
Poker
is
face
she,
the
like...
whole time.
Yeah, okay.
She
Okay.
is the high protector of Darileft.
Damn.
You're pretty sure that if she is not the person militarily in charge, she is like the next in line.
Oh, damn. Okay, so she's like up there. All right. Well,
And the fact that she's with Nyara means that whatever Nyara is doing is extremely important. But also, it means that Nyara's sister must be quite capable.
interesting. Okay.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to get some more answers once we are in the city as to where exactly she is, because it sounds like we're going to need all the help we can get on this, on sealing up the hole. So, here's to hoping that everything goes smoothly on our way.
That would be great. So, Nyara doesn't, like, volunteer any more information, probably because he doesn't know it.
Okay.
But Taldry is not helpful at all.
If at all possible, if she's ever away from Nyara at a moment, could I just conveniently also be there, corner her, basically?
Yeah. So, you know,
If you like,
we're
if you
all-
tell Daelia any of this, she can try and create an opening if you give her a
All
heads
right.
up.
Yeah. I'll work with Daelia on it.
that sounds great. You all are like spies of various calibers, so communicating without talking is extremely easy.
Yeah.
Basically, you run interference with Nyara, and
Nyara,
you have,
knowingly running
as you're
interference.
leaving the shop,
Yeah.
you split them both off, and so a little ways away from Nyara, but still able to see him. Rushk, you kind of corner Taldry.
I don't believe we've been formally introduced. I can't help but notice you've been shadowing Nyara this entire time, and I wanted to extend my hand, so to speak, and ask a couple questions if you don't mind.
I do mind, but I have a feeling that you'll be quite insistent about this, so...
Oh, not at all. And I assure you, I'm not trying to pry about your personal life, but let's just start then, and it'll give you an idea of what I'm curious about. What do you think of Waterdeep?
I think Waterdeep is a necessary evil.
Why do you say necessary?
I believe that all of human civilization, as it were, is a necessary evil. It exists to fill a role, and yet she looks around. I find it unsightly.
I see. So then you would find me unsightly.
She shrugs, if that's your interpretation.
And what do you hope for Darileft? I'm sure that you don't regard it as unsightly or necessary evil.
I want Darileft to continue into the future. I have sworn myself to the Avail house, and I will do everything in my power to see them succeed.
I see. Even if that puts you at odds with the people you have sworn your loyalty to.
Why would I be at odds with the Avail family?
Method and means are very different things, Taldry, and you strike me as the kind of person who appreciates results more than you appreciate the road there.
Do all humans enjoy this sort of word game, or is it just you, Doctor?
I think it's a fairly common trait amongst us. We talk around things. We say things without saying them, or say things we don't mean. It's the easiest way to communicate.
Understandably so. I think you would do quite well in Drow society.
What an insult.
Most
incredible.
commons are.
Well, Taldry, regardless of your beliefs or my own, I just wanted to assure you that, and I do mean it when I say it, I'm wishing Nyara the best.
Then we are both in agreement on this matter.
Rushk will just kind of bow her head and say, after you.
It is very interesting that she's willing to turn her back on you. You don't know what that means.
Perhaps positive, perhaps negative.
Meanwhile, Nyara is sitting with Daelia and braiding her hair.
Aww.
And he's telling you all about how he used to do this for his sister. She has really long hair and it puts it into a braid for her every morning.
Oh, I didn't have any siblings growing up, so I did not get to experience any of this. She's very lucky, both of you, to have each other.
Nyara is just beaming behind you. He's fucking thrilled to be involved in a society that is not trying to murder itself.
Imagine.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, I guess we'll move on to the actual heading out.
I have one more thing I want to do.
Yeah, and I have one more
All
thing.
right.
Sorry.
All right, let's do Xastra, and then we'll go back to Daelia.
Cool.
So after I part ways with them, I'm going back to the Fat Tile.
Okay.
I would like to speak with Val again.
Val is already waiting for you.
Of course.
She's like, this only happens about half the time.
Interesting. I want to know about how the crystals work.
Oh, well, that's extremely easy. Did I not tell you last time?
No.
Oh. Did
You
I
said
ever
to
also
ask
show you how
counsel
they
about
work?
it. I forgot what the lich's name is.
Nakasser.
I saw Nakasser use one.
Well, that's how they work. They are fragments of divinity as remembered by the people who remember them, who no longer remember them. And so if you remember them, then you remember what you remember, right?
Oh wow, my microphone picked up one of that.
What you remember, then you remember it, and it is remembered. Do you understand?
I think I get what you're saying.
At explaining.
I think I understand.
It channels the fragment of divinity into remembering what you remember, and then the world, Toril, as it will, also remembers that. But you can remember anything. You can remember whatever you want, even things you don't remember.
Interesting. She's going to dwell on this for a minute, and then say, "Thank you. That was very helpful.
Of course.
I will be taking my leave now."
Well, I mean, you could leave it at 2.
Xastra looks very confused.
Val does not elucidate.
Right, she's gonna kind of like awkwardly leave the room now.
She does not notice you go.
Oh my god.
Incredible. All right, that is all I had.
All right, Daelia, what do we got?
All she's gonna do is just put up a bunch of booby traps in the room that she's staying in for her Drow contact to find later if she comes looking for her.
Your cringe sister.
Yes.
I think that'll be good. I will remember this for later.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a note about it.
Just a bunch.
Daelia.
It's not necessarily. They are lethal, but they're not impossible to get out of, I would say.
They're lethal as like a courtesy, to let her know that you respect her,
Yep.
more or less.
Yes.
You're insane.
It's a very Drow thing to do, though, so it's fine. And,
It's like flirting.
helps her cover. It is a little bit like flirting. So you make the trip. You all head out in the morning. Are we like hoofing it all on our own, or are we bringing some kind of carriage or something to bring your supplies?
Probably we.
I think it would.
Good.
I was going to say, I think it would not be too much for me to get a cart and a horse.
The main thing is like, are we going to be able to get that through the Underdark?
Well, you're going to need a couple of days' supplies so that you can get to Daggerford, and then at Daggerford, you'll need to get a boat. You'll need to get anything you don't already have, and then you'll need to go down into the Underdark. And then once you're down into the Underdark, it is more or less a day and a half in the Underdark to get down to where Darileft is, but it's the Underdark. You have no idea what the state of things is going to be when you get there, because it has a tendency to not be the same as the last time you were there. So
Cart
even
then,
Yara
cart
and
Daggerford.
Yeah. So you take the cart to Daggerford. It's nice because there's enough space that if you don't particularly feel like walking, you can just sit on the back. Nyara's guards insist on walking and insist that Nyara sit in the cart. So if you're chilling on the cart, Nyara will be there, very happy to talk to you about everything and nothing. The actual trip to Daggerford is more or less uneventful. You do meet a surprising number of foot traffic going the other way, going from Daggerford to Waterdeep. which isn't like super uncommon. There's lots of merchants and that kind of thing. People go to visit family in the other large cities. These roads are like, well trafficked by the various guard forces. Like, so occasionally you come past a patrol of armed people. But as far as you know, this is a larger number headed towards Waterdeep than usual, and not as many people going with you from Waterdeep to Daggerford. You're not really sure what that means. People don't really say, because, it is a lot of walking, so no real reason to stop people on the road. The road down is paved and is well maintained, so the cart rolls quite easily. And when you have to stop, it's easy to just make a little camp. You brought some camping supplies, so you just have your little tents and your little beds, and it's quite nice, really. When you get into Daggerford.
Oh yeah, Daggerford.
When you get into Daggerford, something is wrong.
Oh, dear.
Something is very wrong. You're not sure what it is initially. So either this is something you can deal with, or you can go to your most important objective, which is to get a boat. What would you like to do?
Can we diagnose what's wrong first?
You can diagnose what's wrong, but you have to tell me what you want to do to diagnose what's wrong.
I guess, what appears to be going on? Is there like a current commotion in the streets, or...
The vibes are off.
The vibes are off.
A lot more people than you're used to seeing, and people just generally don't look very happy.
Okay. What would be the closest equivalent to like the field ward in Daggerford?
Daggerford is a very small area, and because it's very small, there is not as much of a class disparity, because there is the Duchess of Daggerford, there's the Duchess of Daggerford's not exactly military, but like, guard that keeps Daggerford safe. And then there is just all of the normal people that live there. There's not a huge distinction between the merchant class and between the like farming class, like the people that make stuff and the people that sell stuff. It is only a city of 1,200 people.
Oh, damn. Okay, so like hella small.
It's little, yeah.
It is very tiny. Everybody knows everybody.
Okay, yeah. Are there food establishments?
There are food establishments.
Okay. Unless anybody wants to do otherwise, I think Rushk will just kind of excuse herself from the cart pole and head into one of the nearest food establishments to ask, one of the workers there, what's going on?
What's going on? Yeah.
Does anyone go in with you?
I think Daelia will probably go in unless told not to.
Okay. Xastra, do you go with too?
Yeah.
Okay. Rushk walks in, it's fine. Daelia walks in, it's fine. The clomp of Xastra's metal boots hits the floor on the inside, and the waitress looks up and says, "Oh no, not you. You get right out. I'm not having any of you flaming fist in here causing problems anymore."
I'm not with the Flaming Fist. I'm with the Church of Eilistraee.
And she gets real embarrassed and a little bit scared because she has just shouted at a drow in full plate mail.
Oh no! Oh no!
And she just sort of gets kind of a cowed, apologetic posture and says, "I'm sorry, my lady. Please have a seat wherever you would like." I
take it the Flaming Fist has been giving you trouble.
Thou's balls they have. There are so many of them, like rats running around and getting into the grain, and
Might we have a moment of your time? I understand that you are currently at work. Of course, I will compensate you fairly for any information provided. Could you elaborate on what specific issue you're having with the Flaming Fist?
Sure. You know what? It's better if you spend your coin on some drinks. You look quite thirsty. So she pours you a couple of like local ales, which is basically the equivalent to giving someone a glass of water.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know when it was. You know that big guy, the big loud guy? He came through here with a couple of the Flaming Fist a little while ago, maybe a week ago. And that was fine. They stayed, they spent some money, they bought some horses. It's not a big deal. There was only a handful of them. But 3 days ago, must have been, I don't know, 100, 200, maybe more. just march up to the gates like it's nothing, ask to be let in, get all involved in the boat traffic, and they're shouting and making orders, and they took over the whole farmstead up on the east side there.
So for non-D&D folks, whoever that might be, could you elaborate a bit on what traditionally the Flaming Fist occupy, what role they occupy in like the social landscape?
The Flaming Fist is the mercenary military outfit that is supposed to guard Baldur's Gate. If there are 300 of them on the way to on the way to Waterdeep, that is a ton of them, and they are way further north than they ostensibly should be.
So this is like super bad, basically. This
is a movement of a military group large enough that if they had inside help from any of the larger cities, they could cause a huge problem.
I see. Not just that, but it is also, it sounds like Daggerford is basically fucking occupied by a foreign military right now.
Daggerford is at a population of 1,200. So if there's 200, 300 Flaming Fist mercenaries here, it's 1 to 5 townspeople versus mercenaries. So
that is not good.
That is not a good calculation.
Who is the loud guy that she would have been referring to? That wasn't Ontar Firm, was it?
It could have been anyone, any kind of loud knight type. Probably not Istival. It could have been Ontharr Firm, or it could have been the leader of the Flaming Fist mercenaries.
Okay.
I have in my notes because I am terrible with names.
You said that they
Older Ravenguard. He's the Grand Duke of Baldur's Gate and Marshal of the Flaming Fist mercenaries. It wouldn't be weird for him to go visit Waterdeep because of the Special Council of Waterdeep. He does have a seat on it. But bringing 300 soldiers is a little weird.
Yeah, I think that definitely is far past a little weird. You said they occupied the farmstead? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, there's all those farms up on the east side. That's where we get a lot of our grain. Anything we don't get from Waterdeep, of course. They're making a big commotion over there. They haven't let folks work for a couple of days.
And how is Daggerford faring as far as food supplies then?
We've got grain stocked up. It's not a big deal. And like I said, we order from Waterdeep all the time. But if they don't let folks get back to work, that's going to start to be a big problem.
Rushk suddenly looks like she is inexorably more tired. I see. You've been very helpful. I appreciate your time.
Rushk.
Yes.
Could I please have you roll some fate die and add your intelligence?
Okay. That is a 2 + 3, so that's a 5.
There are a lot of people coughing.
Ooh.
Oh, great.
Yikes.
Oh, great.
Yay!
All right. I think it clicks. I think it clicks for Rushk that something might be spreading here. So she'll reach down, and part of her whole doctor get up is she has a mask that she can just pull up and down when she needs to. So she'll pull that up over her nose and say,
upon seeing you do that, one of the guards has been watching you the whole time. One of Nyara's guards. Mm-hmm. And you see them go out through the open doorway. You see them go over to Nyara and pull something up over his face.
I see. Nice. Okay. Pardon me, ma'am. I just have one more question before I depart.
Of course.
Have you noticed any bouts of sickness outside the norm?
Yeah, a little bit before the Flaming Fist got here. Folks have been a little bit more sick than usual. I talked to one of the priests, and he said it's one of them seasonal things blowing in.
I assume that I would be at least passingly familiar with what counts for seasonal sicknesses in the area. Are we in or out of season?
You're a little bit out of season. If it's like a flu type thing, it's early.
Okay. I'll turn to Xastra and Daelia. I advise that, if possible, you find face coverings, and I suppose we should take this up with dear Nyara and his guards, but could I trouble you to make a stop at the farmstead with me.
Might as
I
well.
would like to do something before we go stir up trouble, but that's fine.
I don't intend on stirring up trouble. Rushk knocks on wood.
Well, I've dealt with the Flaming Fist before. So before we go stir up trouble, I would like to do something.
What would you like to do?
I would like to pull out the sending stone that I have
Mm-hmm.
and ask Laryl Silverhand if...
Yeah. She knows anything.
What was his name? What was his name? What was his name? Where'd that
God.
go?
Gods protect you, Xastra.
Mhm.
I am so happy I gave you this stone. What can I do for you?
Is Sir Istabel around?
You want to talk to... Of course, Sir Istabel. You hear a loud noise as the sending stone is presumably thrust directly into Sir Istabel's chest. Am I using this correctly?
Yes, of course.
Xastra?
When you left Daggerford,
Yes.
were there a bunch of Flaming Fist mercenaries garrisoned in the farm outside town?
That is very alarming news you have just more or less given me. Why are there Flaming Fist posted in Daggerford?
I don't know. We haven't ascertained that yet. I was making sure it was out of the ordinary before we make any moves.
I would advise you to go to Morwen immediately. I'm sure she can't have missed Flaming Fist mercenaries posted inside her bounds, but this seems like the kind of thing that I would like you to help with.
I will certainly do so.
Just make sure that there's no problems.
We will do our best.
Thank you, Xastra. I have every confidence that you will.
All right, you can give this back to Laryl.
Laryl, I don't know. I don't know if it's still on. I haven't used one of these before. What do you mean? No. Of course. And the feed shuts off.
Okay.
Grandpa get iPad.
All right, now that I've made a mess of the council, I'm sure, I would like to talk to Morwen
Daggerford,
Morwen?
Master of Arms and
Yes.
Duchess of Daggerford.
Yes,
So
if you want to
Daggerford-
go cause trouble while I'm doing that, I certainly would not say anything about it.
Of course, Daelia. Rushk will
Mhm.
grab your shoulder, like at the side. Would you mind accompanying me?
Of course. Actually, and I think she might. She gets ink out of the backpack
Ink.
and tells him to follow Xastra wherever she's going.
Okay. Do you want
Keep
Xastra
the line
to
of
know?
communication open. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you want Xastra to know that ink is there. Okay. Which scene would you like to have first? Do you want to go cause some trouble first, or do you want to meet with Morwen Daggerford?
Can I also just really quickly inform, it doesn't need a scene, can I inform Nyara and his guards about what's going on and that there's a slight detour?
Yeah. They don't look super happy about it, but you are the people that they need.
Yeah.
Tyria looks concerned when you talk about there being a sickness. She wonders if she could go do something about that. And Vajra is concerned, but like that kind of thing is a little bit out of her depth.
Yeah.
She is an arcane practitioner and not a divine practitioner.
Oh, I did give her all of the scrolls when we met up with her in the morning.
She is poring over them. She has her tome open and she is cross-referencing things.
I
She's
think
taking
that
her part of the
Vajra-
job very seriously.
I think Vajra and Shiria would be best served staying with Nyara, just
Yeah.
because they're two very capable people.
Okay.
Until we know what's going on anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. I forget. Are we meeting Morwen first, or are we going to the farmstead first?
I don't think we made a decision.
We did not?
Go meet Morwen.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go meet Morwen.
Daggerford is basically the castle, the Daggerford Castle, with then, all of the lands that exist outside it, making the little town. So the castle is, very well proportioned for defending the area. The inside of the walls are large enough that if the whole town had to hide behind them, they could, but it would be quite cramped. So it's mostly just the grounds and personal residence of Merwin Daggerford and the military arm of Daggerford, which is supported by more or less the militia of everybody else that lives there. So she is in the training yard. She has about a half suit of armor on, and she's going through sword drills with her guards. You just have to ask a couple people to get led there. Some of them remember you because they were involved in the military action against the dragons 10 years ago. And so they more or less recognize you, or if you say your name, a couple of them remember you. So, you're not quite out of place. So you get there and she is working up a sweat with a practice sword. What do you want to do?
I will wait until there is a moment where I can step in, and then bow, and basically call out to her.
She looks like she's late 30s, early 40s. She's toweling herself off. She's worked up quite a sweat. She comes up to you. She says, what can I do for you, Miss? And ink starts beeping.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Miss Telarr, what can I do for you?
So Gustavus said that I should come find you as quickly as possible in regards to the Flaming Fist mercenaries.
Ah, yes, the Flaming Fist. What exactly do you need, or what are you offering to do for me?
Well, the first thing is, are you content with them being there?
I can't really do anything about them. About 2 or 3 days ago, after Older passed through, roughly 300 of them came right up the Lord's Way and have busied themselves with something. I don't know. There's a seasonal sickness, I'm told, moving through the citizenry. And when they encountered it, they immediately asked to see my grain stores, which was something I could not very easily prevent. And afterwards, they have been busying themselves tearing apart my farmlands. I have no idea what they think they're doing, but it is unsettling the citizenry, to say the least. And we already have our hands full with the whole boat issue.
Boat issue?
I'm sure you've noticed that the numbers in Daggerford are much higher than they usually are, and it's not just because of the mercenaries. We have been inundated with sightseers. Lots of academic types and mages and that sort of thing have rented out all of my boats, so much so that it is causing shipping traffic problems. They're all taking the boats downriver to go see the body of the dead god, and it has clogged up the train lanes. Boats that should normally be doing regular delivery are now taking exorbitant sums from snotty nobles who have nothing better to do but get in my way.
Fantastic. I would like to propose a trade then.
All right, I'll hear your offer.
We take care of your Flaming Fist problem and potentially this sickness that's been going around. Would you be able to get me a boat?
I suppose that's a trade I'm willing to make.
Fantastic. My friends are already on their way to talk to the Flaming Fist. I should probably join them as swiftly as possible.
I will let you get to it then.
Thank you for your time. She will bow and then excuse herself.
As the distance between you and Morwen increases, ink stops beeping.
Before they leave, would I be able to use one of my stunts?
Sure, what would you like to do?
I have it named Sneaky Ink, which is once per game I can use ink to listen to a conversation I wasn't supposed to overhear.
Okay.
So I was kind of hoping to see what exactly is going on over there. The weird beeping.
I think ink just goes very invisible, the way the cats do, and follows Morwen back until she's with the commander of, like, the captain of her guard. And they begin having a conversation that is just for them. It's largely businesslike. They're just talking about the position of the Flaming Fist mercenaries and the issues with the boats. But they seem to know a little bit more about the sickness that's happening than they should let on.
Okay.
They talk about him causing it, and they hope that he leaves soon.
Okay.
But even with all the powers of the Hells, Morwen could not make him leave if she wanted to.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. I think she'll
So I guess
probably
we'll
relay that to Rushk also.
So we'll head over to the farmstead. Obviously, I don't mean one single farmstead. I mean a collection of them. Lots of different fields. Daggerford employs crop rotation techniques, and so, some fields are wheat and some are other various staple crops. And there are 300 dudes in bright armor with red tabards, either cutting through the fields or ransacking various farm buildings, so barns and that kind of thing. They don't
Standard military occupation then.
Yeah, normal.
They don't look like they're taking things. They look like they're looking for something.
Interesting. Okay. Also, side note, I probably would have supplied Daelia with a mask if she would want one.
She might have one just for sun protection reasons, but
true, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are the guys centrally located? I mean, assume they're ant colony-esque, dispersing and returning from the head guy.
Yeah, they have a bunch of tents set up, sort of in the middle of the area. It looks like they had to tamp down a whole acre.
Great.
So there's quite a lot of crop loss from them setting up their bullshit.
That's not...
It was a fallow acre, so that's nice, but the problem is that will make it stay fallow for another year. So they didn't ruin a crop, but they did cause problems for it.
Great. Fucking awesome.
Love to see it.
Yeah, I think I'll just kind of turn to Daelia and say, well, in moments like these, I find the best method of negotiation is to walk straight towards whoever thinks they're in charge.
It's definitely one way to do it.
If you have any preferred method, then
No.
Right.
I'm here if you need anything at all.
I just wanted someone I could trust to watch my back.
Happy to help.
The two of you walk with purpose towards the tents. Some of the mercenaries notice you. There's some pointing. And eventually you find yourselves with an honor guard. A couple of mercenaries fall in behind you.
Boy.
Presumably to keep you from getting lost.
Yep, yeah, they're very helpful, I'm sure. What was the name of the dude? Not his fault, the guy that leads the guys.
Older Raven Guard?
Yes. The first Flaming Fist mercenary that seems to, gets caught and stuck looking at me, I'll approach and introduce myself, saying, "Hi, I'm here to meet Older Raven Guard."
Well, I'm sorry, man, but you wouldn't find him here. He's already moved on to Waterdeep.
I see. Then who is in charge in his absence?
That would be Captain Kite. He's up there on the hill. And he points towards the collection of tents.
I'll just bow my head and start heading towards Captain Kite, or wherever I was indicated.
He stands at attention and gives you a salute.
Interesting. Okay.
All right.
Yep.
So they bring you along past all of the camp, if you will, to a large meeting tent. It has the higher ceiling and is quite large so that people can gather underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
And looking through some stuff on a table, looks like a collection of documents and also various soils and vegetables. There's a very stern-looking young man who seems like he has never been happy a day in his life. There is a permanently fixed frown as his default expression. Based on the fact that he's wearing fancier clothes than everybody else, at least for mercenaries, he must be the person in charge.
Okay, and what's his rank? Something Kite?
Captain?
Captain Kite. Captain Kite, I presume.
He looks up and kind of glares at you, but then mostly just because he's interrupted and not because he has any particular opinion of you. And he's like, "Who am I addressing?"
I am called Rushk. I'm a doctor from Waterdeep. I'm lying through my teeth. I've been dispatched to assess the situation in Daggerford. I was told
About time. I see the council has finally taken notice of what's going on here.
Yes, indeed it has.
Right. I've been informed by Marshal Ravengard that you are the executive arm of the council, so I appreciate your help in this matter.
How convenient that my lie ends up being partially true.
You two would kindly assist me over here.
Perhaps you could just start from the top. I understand that there are a great deal of you here, and I also want to be sensitive to the concerns of Daggerford's citizenry as well as Morrowind. 300 men in a town of 1,200 is, I'm sure that you might know, quite a strain on natural resources.
If we're lucky, that's all we'll need. But honestly, I implore you, Doctor, to please come look at this.
I'll bow my head and follow.
Yep.
So he motions you over to the table he's standing around with all of the plants on it. He splays out a bunch of them for you and says, "What can you make of this?" It is very obvious that looking at them immediately, there is something wrong with the plants.
Okay.
They have some kind of sickness. Rushk, I imagine that you have some sort of insight on this. Daelia, I don't know how often you deal with plants.
Not.
But they are rotting in a weird way, and that is completely uniformly.
Interesting. So rather than like spot rot, it's just once. Okay.
It is all at once. The leaves, the stalks, the roots, the fruit or vegetable part of it, all of it is rotting uniformly at the same rate. It is very weird.
Interesting. Okay. Then I'll turn to Daelia. Dr. Navalsa, could you give me your opinion on any arcane happenings? As far as I can tell.
Would I sense anything arcane about what's going on?
Yeah, actually, it's not arcane, but it is magical.
Okay.
Because you can get a little bit of the faintest traces of, magical residue coming off of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably divine magic.
Okay.
And since it is divine magic that is doing something bad, it
Interesting.
is probably one of the gods that is involved in that kind of thing.
Okay.
The name that springs to mind immediately would be Talona, the mistress of plague.
Oh.
Isn't Talona, isn't she dead or something? I can't remember.
All of them have died and come back. Talona was dead until very recently.
Okay. Interesting.
You should know about Talona.
Yeah.
Greshadaga used to be a priestess of Talona.
Okay. Has Talona historically affected any non-humans, or does she strictly deal in, I guess probably plague rats and things like that? I don't know how far her domain extends.
The way things usually work is a not plague bearer, but plague herald will show up in a town, and they will let the townspeople know that Talona is coming, and that they should make sacrifices to her to make sure that whatever plague follows in the wake will be mild.
Interesting.
Generally speaking, if people do that, just a minor sickness washes through town, and if they don't, depending on how angry about it Talona gets, the plague that is visited on that town can be particularly dire. It has wiped a couple of small towns off the map and has caused problems for larger cities like Waterdeep.
Interesting. Well, Captain Kite, starting from the top, good.
I spend a fate point to catch up.
Okay, sure. If you want to burn through the rest of your fate points so that you can be here. About halfway through you examining this, a couple of guards come up leading Xastra. They recognize Xastra as somebody important and assume that she must also be sent from the council.
Our bodyguard.
Xastra looks a little confused, but doesn't say anything.
This is Xastra Telarr. Xastra, this is Captain Kite. I've just finished explaining that we're here.
Xastra Telarr, I don't know if you recognize me, but we served together during the thing 10 years ago. Although I was just a foot soldier then. Didn't have command of nothing.
I think you're familiar. I think I saw you kill a cultist.
Well, I did my best. I did fall into a pit after that and ruined my dad's sword. But yes, I was mildly successful.
So what were you saying, Rushk?
For tossing me the rope.
I had just finished explaining to Captain Kite that we are here on official business from the council. I'll give Xastra a very stern look.
He nods.
Now,
this is true. We are here on business from the council.
True. We are.
Picking up where we left off, Captain Kite, have you seen any heralds entering town recently? Have any demands for offerings been made?
When Marshal Ravengard came through, about 5-6 days ahead of us, there was four in town.
Oh, wow.
Rushk is like immediately. Woo! Yeah, straight as a board. 4 heralds.
4 heralds.
And have proper measures been taken? Have sacrifices, offerings been made? Have quarantines been employed? Have your 300 men kept themselves from the townspeople?
Why do you think we're out here?
Yes, why do I think you're out here destroying their food stores and contaminating the farms with...
You see these rotten vegetables? There's nothing here for us to destroy. It's all being eaten. My men are out here trying to look for the source of it.
And you think that you'll find it in the farm?
In the farms or in the townspeople?
And what, pray tell, do you assume this source is that it requires 300 soldiers to cure?
Well, Marshal Ravengard had a suspicion that it is not just Talona, but rather she is the messenger for another unwanted guest. And while maybe we won't be able to stop some kind of vegetable plague, we are insurance versus some other likely event to follow.
Be specific, Captain Kite.
Well, I hate to say their name aloud, but I know you know that Talona often works in service of one of the dead 3, and we have reason to believe that a carrion god such as that would be interested in the feast rotting off the coast.
Ooh.
Xastra nods.
What's his name again? It's Jurgle...
Not Jurgle. This is Kelimvor.
Kelimvor, that's right.
Along with All and Bane, they make up the dead 3.
Fucking dead 3. Thank God Daggled isn't here.
Not Kelimvor, fuck. Is it Kelimvor? Fuck, who's the other? Dead 3. Oh, there's Merkel. That's what it is. Merkel, the god of death. Kelimvor is the nice god of death.
Oh my god.
Yeah, okay.
Rushk, pinches the bridge of her nose. So just explain to me your reasoning. You're going to dig Merkel out of the farmstead? You're going to stop Merkel's invasion by... what?
We've been harvesting. Everything that's edible, we have kept the townsfolk from, and we have been harvesting. Anything that is not yet ready or has gone completely to the rot, we've been separating. We plan to burn it. And no, it's not vegetables I'm worried about as it concerns that one. It is the servants that tend to follow. Zombies, skeletons, ghouls, things that make for less than peaceful towns.
I see. And has any communication with Morwen been made on this matter? If I'm not mistaken, Xastra, you've just returned from there. Has she been made abreast of the situation? Worked at all to coordinate with the town that you're occupying?
Largely, she seems to want them out.
No surprise.
Additionally, Link ran off, but he was making a lot of noise when I was talking to, more, I've forgotten again.
Morwin.
Morwin,
Very interesting.
given what I've heard just now, I am perhaps quite suspicious of her.
I see. Oh, okay. So, how much do you... Excuse me, Captain Kite. I need a moment to confer with my associates. I'm sure that you understand.
Of course.
Great. So, yeah, just out of the tent really quick. I can't say that I'm familiar with the goings-on of Istfall or Morrowind, so I can't speak to their character. Given the
Right.
situation...
Hang on. Out of character. Would I have met Morwin before?
Morin before? No, you would have met Sir Istival.
Okay, so that's not surprising. Okay, that is all I needed to know.
So, given that what Morwin wants and what the men here want are in direct opposition to one another, who would you, given your experience with both factions, who would you advise as being the better option?
Well, the evidence here seems pretty damning.
Also, just to add really fast, besides, I guess, ink beeping, he did overhear something about a he being the cause of whatever's going on here, and it sounded like the Duchess was more aware of things than perhaps she seemed to have let on with you, Xastra.
Swear, if fucking Daggle Neverember was goddamn right, I'm going to be... We'll never hear the end of it.
Then perhaps we should pay a visit to Morrowind, the three of us, and ask she explain, or rather, guide us to this visitor she seems to have knowledge of.
That seems wise. I would like to do a small experiment.
Okay.
I would like to cast Detect Good and Evil. And just
On who?
kind of perceive many things.
Okay. Who or what are we attempting to get a bearing on with Detect Good and Evil?
Well, first, I'd like to look at the crops presented. Not that
Yep. That's definitely, there's some kind of evil divine magic on them.
Yep, that makes sense. I would also like...
The Flaming Fist mercenaries come up, completely neutral because it's more for examining outsider presence. However,
yes,
the Detect Good part does come off Captain Kite.
Interesting. That's not super what I was interested in. I ask that they take me to the place where they're storing the things that they've yet to burn.
Sure.
All right. I would like to do another potentially dumb paladin thing and cast Purify Food and Drink.
Ooh, interesting.
To attempt to salvage this situation.
Initially, it looks promising. Some of the ones that aren't yet completely rotted do start to turn back into edible food. But as if having noticed you're meddling in rotting again at a much faster pace.
Oh dear.
Incredible. I have never seen anything like this. All right. My curiosity is sated. We should go find out what Morwin knows.
Yes, before
How
we
long does
leave...
Detect Good and Evil last?
Right.
It's
Hang on, let me look at... up to 10 minutes.
Oh man, I was right.
Damn.
You were right. We should have trusted you all along. I'll do that next time.
Yeah.
It's off of nothing.
So you want to go towards Morrowind, that's correct?
Absolutely.
As you are on your way back to the castle, you get the sense, using your Detect Evil, that there is something nebulously evil in the direction of the castle, but your spell wears off before you get there.
Interesting.
Well, we'll have to look into that more once we get back towards the castle. So I will say there's something with a strong evil aura in the castle.
And it sounds like if ink was beeping, then there's some sort of plane shenanigans going on here as well. So
Okay. So you go to see Morwen again. She is still in the yard, but she's working on other things. She's seeing various people and talking to them about, you assume, just matters of the day-to-day running of the castle and the surrounding area. She notices you as you walk towards her and dismisses the people around her and says, Telarr, didn't expect you back so soon. Were you able to take care of my problem?
Well, not quite. Talking to them, it seems that they are currently cleansing your fields of plagued produce.
Excellent. I honestly don't know what to do with this information, Miss Telarr, but I am quite vexed.
We
I have a
also...
suggestion.
And
I'll
you are?
I'll look to Rushk.
I'll hold out my hand. Dr. Rushk,
She shakes it.
could you direct me to Merkel? I believe I'd like to speak with him.
oh my god.
And what makes you think I know a member of the Dead Three?
Just a hunch.
It'd be a terrible hunch, or perhaps some kind of stomach ulcer.
I've been known to suffer certain anxieties, yes.
I don't even know how to begin to answer your ridiculous request. What?
We're
Who are
shaking
you?
hands. We're shaking hands, right?
Oh my
Like
god.
we're still ostensibly holding hands. All right, yeah. I'm
Yes.
going to use a bedside manner
Nice.
to my dexterity to a social roll if I can touch them. So here
Okay.
we go. Oh, that is a 3 + 3, so that's a fucking
Hey.
6.
Hell yeah.
So you're trying to see if she's lying?
Kind of. Basically, I just want to. I'll just lead with this. What's her last name? Morwen
Daggerford?
Daggerford. God damn it.
That's why it's
Madam-
Daggerford Keep?
Yep.
Yeah, no, that makes
I
sense.
may be dumb. Madam Daggerford, I don't mean to insult you, of course, but the most expedient solution to this issue can only be achieved if you are forward with whatever information that you have. I assure you, I truly assure you, that we have the best interest, we have the best interest of your people at heart.
Well, your 6 beat her roll by a lot, so I'll let her cave.
Okay.
And she'll be like, I can't help you. I don't know where Merkel is. Other than that, I'm sure some avatar or agent of his is somewhere in Daggerford. As much as I would like to make him leave, I think that ruffling his feathers will do more harm than good. And I am trying to keep things peaceful, and hope he moves along.
Rushk sighs very deeply. So, you are taking a non-stance, then?
I am taking a stance to protect the people under my care. I have ordered extras food from Waterdeep, which I expect will be here any day. I am keeping my people away from those insane flaming fist, and I am trying to keep from starting a war with a god on my doorstep.
I see. And you hope that by waiting it out, Merkel will lose interest in the dead god and move on, and with him will go the Flaming Fist mercenaries.
I'm hoping he takes a boat downstream and leaves me alone. Yes.
Yes, and remind me, how did Hope... What was the big catastrophe that the gods did not too long ago?
Yes. Well, I
That
have
was out
very
of
little
character.
control over... Oh, that was out of character?
Yes.
So the thing that just happened was the second Sundering, and it was less
Right.
the gods and more the thing that's in charge of them. Though Shar did pull some bullshit.
Fucking Char. And remind me again, Miss Daggerford, how did Hope play a part in the second Sundering?
Well, it kept all of us from falling completely into despair. You and I both know that the designs of the gods are very difficult for any individual to oppose.
And yet we can still speak to them. If the gods share our language and our appearance, why then would we not attempt to negotiate?
If you can find the agent of Merkel and have a polite dinner dialogue with them, then by all means, Miss Rushk, as Duchess of Daggerford, I charge you to do so.
Rushk smiles. She still has her mask up, so you just see it in the eyes. She tips her head and says, "Very well then. I believe that he'll be eager to meet with me."
I think he'll definitely be eager to meet with you. Comes the annoying masculine voice in the back of your head.
Oh boy!
I just keep smiling.
You know he'll know you on sight, right? You can't pull your little tricks. In fact, he probably already knows where you are. But you don't need my help, do you? And the voice in your head goes silent.
Daelia, Xastra,
Yes.
would you mind coming with me? I think it would be best if we reserved a room for the night.
All right, as long as you think it's safe to do so. Well, safe is probably not the best word, but...
Yes, and in whatever way you can, prepare for a meeting with Merkel.
Oh. All right.
Okay. We are coming up on the end of time, and this sounds like a conversation that we will want to have a lot more preparation for. I think this will be quite interesting to have a dinner date with a god of death.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Love to see it.
I want to ask Nyara to prepare the food for us. Excuse me. I want to ask Nyara to make dinner for the god of death, and I'd like to introduce Nyara as a potential god mate, whatever the word is. I don't know.
Oh my God.
That is incredible. I'm so excited for that. Please remember that for next week.
I will do this.
Surely that will not go wrong.
Yeah, nothing can go wrong.
I think the funniest part of this is potentially the third god of death we've met in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many dungeons,
All kinds of deaths.
and Dracoliches, or Drow and Dracoliches and Death Gods.
Yeah.
Triple D. We got a triple D.
D&D.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I hope that you have a wonderful whatever it is you're listening on this on, and we will be back with episode 6 of Drow and Dracoliches, and maybe eventually get to Darileft sometime in the future. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And believe Guy Fieri is in the Forgotten Realms.